If you have studied the educational program that is called the Hellenistic spirit of South Africa, you'll come to understand the deeper layers of this country, and that those layers got nothing to do with the politics of today, have got nothing to do with the African National Congress, has got nothing to do with Nelson Mandela, has got nothing to do with the Freedom Charter. I'm taking you back to the origin. I'm taking you back to the mother rock where all rocks emerges. And I'm taking you back to some 100 years ago. The San people, these are the original owners of South Africa. Followed from the San people is the Khoi people. So that's why we have the Khoi San when we talk about the heart of South Africa. Even at the emblem of South Africa, the coat of arms of South Africa, you have two fellows. One is a Khoi, one is a San person. This is the origin. This is the history. It reflects their simplicity, their friendliness before anything else, before the Bantu, before the Afrikaners, before the English, before the French Huguenots, before the Portuguese, and before the Spaniards can come to South Africa. We talk about the Khoisan people. That's where I am, and that's where I composed and developed this program, taking myself way back 100 years ago, where there was no anything, only simplicity, only the San person, the San people, and the Khoisan people. The San people are the people of nature. They align themselves with nature, and they recognize that nature is the expressions of the universal God. So you don't have to conquer nature and establish cities. You don't have to conquer nature and establish villages, as the English, as the Europeans do, and as the Africans do. Conquering the land, from villages, conquering the land, forming cities. They align themselves with nature. They live with nature. That's why they are called originally the Bushmen people. The word Bushman is not derogatory, it's not offensive. It is the term that the San people have embraced, and they find no difficulty in it, because it reflects who they are. So then we come to the Khoi people. How do the Khoi people differ with the San people? Before there was any African migration from East Africa, from West Africa to come and settle South Africa, I'm talking about the San people, I'm talking about the Khoisan people. That's where I am. Where I am, I don't see the Bantu. I don't see the Sotho, I don't see the Zulu, I don't see the Shangana, I don't see the Zwana, I don't see the Swazi, I don't see the Xhosa. I see only the Khoisan people. Now the Khoi people, that's what you call the Khoi. That's what you call the Hottentot. Now, they are different from the San people in the fact that these are people who live by raising cattle. The San people live by hunting animals And then that's how life is. The Khoi people, the Khoi, they have some simple settlement in shelters, and they skin they tame the cattle, and they skin the cattle, they milk the cattle, and they have some modest settlement that can be recognized as the nativity of all other people. So that is what you get in South Africa, right? And from that mother rock, from this layer, from this canvas, then we have waves of people intermingling and affecting South Africa. You can talk about the Portuguese under Vasco da Gama. Talk about the Dutch coming to South Africa with Jan van Riebeeck as their leader. Talk about the English people as an empire, the British Empire coming to South Africa. Talk about African migration from East Africa. Then standard we talk about South Africa as a diverse nation. So the term Hellenistic means universal. So South Africa as we know it now, with all these varied layers, interwoven and intermingling and in relationship with each other, has formed what the product that is called South Africa. And that is the Hellenistic South Africa. The term Hellenistic is the term that was used 300 years before Christ was born, when all nations were conquered by Alexander the Great. And the generals of Alexander the Great, after Alexander the Great has died, universalized all nations into one common humanity. So you have the great kingdoms that involves the Egyptians, that involves the Arabs, that involves the Greeks, that involves every person, the Indians also. And within that, you have the term Hellenistic. All varied nations forming one character. And that is what South Africa is. That's where we are. South Africa is not, as we've evolved where we are right now, is not the property of the Africans. It's not a property of the Afrikaners, the Dutch people, as they say, this is our father's land. And the Africans who come from East Africa say this is our land. No. All people came here in migrations. And the only people who can claim ownership of this country is the San people and the Khoi. Those are not Africans. In their physical appearance, you can see they are not Africans. In the way they conduct themselves, they are not Africans. In their way of settlement, they are not Africans. They are the San people and they are Khoisan people. They are a different, distinct group. Just like a Zulu is a different, distinct group to a Songa person. Just as a Zulu is a distinct group to a white, a European person. So the San people don't see themselves as the Bantu. They are not part of that migration from Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, West Africa, coming here. So all of us here, we form the character that is universal, that's called South Africa. So South Africa is not an African country. In the same way that North Africa is not an African region. North Africa now is dominated by Egyptians, the Arabs. And then the Southern Africa is dominated by the San people. It's said that the San people are not a warlike people. They don't conquer land, but the Arabs have conquered the land and they established cities. But the Bushmen, the Khoisan, are simple people. That is where we emanate from. So don't tell us about the history of South Africa being Nelson Mandela. Don't tell us about the history of South Africa being African National Congress. Don't tell us about the history of South Africa being the Freedom Charter. Those things are just like when you tell me about Jan van Riebeeck. There's no difference between Jan van Riebeeck and Nelson Mandela. They are the same people. They come here, settled here, and they are different groups. In the same way, if you go to North Africa as an African person, you can't say I'm in Africa. So the name is there called North Africa. So the name is here is called South Africa, but that's not in Africa. That's not Africa. The Africans came here, the Dutch came here, the Portuguese came here, the French Huguenots came here, the British Empire took over the country and ruled it. And then they united with the Afrikaners and established the Union of South Africa. And I am speaking as I speak now here at the Union Buildings. These Union Buildings, as you can see, was formed by the British Empire and the Afrikaners, conquering the land, and eventually there was a clash between the British, the Dutch, and the Bantu people who are migrated from South Africa and from East Africa, Central Africa. And those wars is what you call liberation struggles. They've got nothing to do with what South Africa is. That is not the origin of South Africa. It's just people fighting each other in the land and to see who must dominate who. The history of humanity, as you know, is a history of bloodshed. It's a history of battles, of fighting for resources. But we have, within that history, we have simple people who are not concerned with fights, with conquering, with territorial controls, with domination. They are just concerned with simplicity, minimalism. Simple people, the San people, the Khoisan people, way before there was anything else. So that is the essence of South Africa, upon which all come and settle. So the Africans, the Dutch, the British, they don't have title deed to the land called South Africa. None of them should tell you that this is my land, this is I own this land. The Afrikaners did that. They said they own their land. The Africans from East Africa settled here. They said they own the land, but that is not the truth. That is not the truth. That's not backed by history. History tells you that there was migrations from Europe. There was migration in East Africa to come and settle in the land that we know was owner or the inheritors, the original people who lived in this place for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, or the Khoisan and the San people, the Khoi and the San, the Khoisan. If you want to know about this history, go and study the Hellenistic spirit of South Africa. It is an audio program that is narrated by Snoop Dogg, the American rapper called Snoop Dogg, narrated that. It's a wonderful program, easy to follow. It also has an encyclopedia, a colorful encyclopedia that you can download, and that is called Braai and Brains. And also there is a book called the Tao of South Africa, the Tao Te Ching of South Africa, the soul of South Africa. That will give you illumination. We are all about the truth. We are not about the ego. Who says what? Who owns what? That is ego. Our concern here is history. And history is about facts. History is not about nationalism. It's not about self-pride. It's what has happened, when it happened, who was there, who was not there. And that's what we are concerned with. We are not going to say, soothe egos and say, because this angle has been pushed so much, let's continue with it. No. That angle might not be based on the truth. And history is about the truth, and we are concerned about the truth. We are not concerned about politics. We are not concerned about nationalism. We are not concerned about the pride, as Africans tell us, or as the Afrikaners tell us. We talk about the way things are, and we tell them the way they are. That's the reason. That's the main reason that the Hellenistic spirit of South Africa was developed, is to unearth the truth, is to dismantle the falsehood, the misperceptions, perception that is not based on reality. And within that program, we also have the cards. We develop cards, educational cards, that tackles the essence, the character, the history, from the Bushmen to the Dutch, to the Spaniard, to the French Huguenots, to the British Empire, to the African migration from East Africa to this place here, to form the Hellenistic, the universal character of South Africa. So the main basis is to say, out of South Africa, we locate every person. Out of South Africa evolves what the sociologists are calling a universal human being. We have what is called the eclectic spirit of South Africa. I mean, the eclectic character, the eclectic spirit, it's the spirit that is neither particular culture. All cultures are intertwining and interwoven. And out of that, you have eclectic character, a universal character, a Hellenistic spirit that sees all humanity as one race. Not African, not European, but one human race. Neither Asian, neither European, neither African. That is the base of South Africa. That is the beauty and character of the Hellenistic South Africa. Here, you walk here, you meet a Thai person. You walk here, you meet a Chinese person. You walk here, you meet an Ethiopian person, Somali, the Indian. All are found here in this country. That is the character. It is universal. That's the character of South Africa. It's universal. It's Hellenistic. It's not African. I hope that will take that idea in your mind. Since South Africa as an African country, it's not. It might be in South Africa, but it's not. The character of it and the soul of it does not tally, does not connect with the rest of Africa in the same way. Does not connect itself with the rest of Africa in the same way that the North African people are not connected with the rest of Africa. So we have the Southern Africa and we have the Northern Africans that are not South Africans. That are not Africans. In the same way that you go to America, right? America is supposed to be Latin America. It's supposed to be ruled by Red Indians, controlled by Red Indians. But as you know now, America is not a Red Indian country. You know who is the Western people are the original dwellers of South America. That's what the character of South Africa, of America is. It's not red Indians. It is Western. The same way this country, though is in Africa, is not African, is universal. That's the emphasis. And history backs us that. The same way that as America as it is, the United States of America as we know it. Though it is where it is, amen. As the land that was original dwellers was the Red Indians. That is where it is now. It has not having those imprints on it. So the South Africa that we are talking about, we're talking about a South Africa that is symbol of one race, one spirit, one man, one woman. And that is where it comes from. The Bushmen did not see South Africa as the land that belongs to them. They know the land belongs to the universal God. The Khoisan, the Khoi people, did not see the land of South Africa as it belongs to them. This land does not belong to Africans as we belong to this. The others must go. The Indians must go back. The Europeans must go. This is our land. Where? That's not this. That's not the correct truth. That's not the reality. That's falsehood. We don't own this land. Neither does the Dutch person own this land. Neither does the African person own this land. Neither the African, the English, the African from East Africa who settle here as the Bantu people. The Tsonga, the Zulu, the Sotho, the Tswana, the Xhosa, the Venda. Those are just like Afrikaner people. Those are just like the English people. Those are just like the French Huguenots who settle in this country. No one owns it. It's universal. The character of it. The Khoisan accepted all people here in a spirit of simplicity, in a spirit of friendship. And now you come and say, no, I'm an African now. This land belongs to me. Why don't you say the same thing that North Africa belongs to Africans? North Africa does not belong to Africans. South Africa does not belong to Africans. Accept the universality of this country. Accept the potential that this country leads the pack in terms of where we are going. The world is going to one humanity, a universal world. Talk about globalization. And if you want to know